Hi, my name is Darren Gertis. I am a professor that has been tracking the war in Ukraine. And if you want to stay informed, please subscribe and like if you want to tell the YouTube algorithm that this is something that ought to spread. Okay, stay with me all the way to the end because I'm going to show you one of the most remarkable things that you've ever seen. It's a drone dogfight in Ukraine. Okay, let's get going. Today I want to tell a story about three people: Elon Musk, Volodymyr Zelensky, and Vladimir Putin. So I want to start with Elon Musk. He's kind of a gadfly. He gets himself into these very public disputes, but he's also a brilliant inventor. He's behind Tesla and SpaceX and a number of other companies. Now, uh, in the beginning of the war, back in February, like it was February 28th, I think is when I first heard of this, and then rolled into March, he actually supplied Ukraine with Starlink satellites so that their internet wouldn't go down. They would have this satellite internet, and this would keep Ukraine plugged into the rest of the world so people could see what was going on. That was huge. I mean, it was really incredible. He then a little bit later, March 14, said, "I hereby challenge Vladimir Putin to single combat. The stakes are Ukraine." I mean, like he was all in behind Ukraine. And his satellites were sent to Ukraine, all these little portable satellite receivers or whatever. So it blanketed the country. It was a huge boon for Ukrainian resistance to what looked like an overwhelming force at the time. Well, so then something else happened. Recently, he did something. This was a beginning of October. He put out this on Twitter that he said, "Ukraine-Russia peace. Redo elections of annexed regions under UN supervision. Russia leaves if that's the will of the people." Now that sounds very reasonable, but follow for a second. Here, let me finish this, and then I'll explain what happened. Crimea, formerly part of Russia, as it has been until Khrushchev's mistake. Water supply to Crimea assured. Ukraine remains neutral. Okay, let's go back over each of these points and go backwards. Ukraine remains neutral. That's not happening now. There's generational hatred toward Russia, and they can't exactly pick up the country and leave. So now they are going to feel threatened for generations, and they're going to make sure that they're going to be running headlong into the arms of Europe and NATO. Water supply to Crimea assured. So when the Russians annexed Crimea, now Crimea is in this peninsula, and there is a water pipeline feeding it that the Ukrainians cut off as part of their negative interaction with each other as the Russians claimed this land. The Ukrainians said no, it's ours, but they couldn't take it back. Crimea, formerly part of Russia, as it has been from 1783 under Catherine the Great. This was an area that was conquered and considered Novorossiya. And as it has been until Khrushchev's mistake. Khrushchev gave Crimea away when it was the Soviet Union because it didn't matter. It would be like giving Florida to Georgia, and it didn't matter when the Soviet Union was a whole entity, but when the Soviet Union broke up, now Ukraine had Crimea. And so I'm not sure if it was a mistake. It has been contested land. It has been Ukrainian. It has been Russian. It has been Turkish. I think it's even been Polish. I might have that wrong, but it's been contested ground for many, many years. Redo elections of annexed regions under UN supervision. Russia leaves if that's the will of the people. Okay, so let's think about this from Ukraine's position and from Russia's position. For Ukraine, there's only a neutral or a downside to that election procedure. Like they'll lose it or it stays theirs. For Russia, there's only a gain or a neutral. So they either gain these areas here or it's just neutral. They didn't have what they didn't have before, right? It's almost like we would say, somebody breaks into my house and takes my 6-year-old, and then we let her vote whether she gets to be returned to us or whether she gets to go with them. It doesn't, I mean, like, you're putting it's just not a legit position. And it sounds neutral, but it's really not. Okay, let's keep going. So Zelensky then tweeted out after this, which Elon Musk do you like more? The one who supports Ukraine, which got a huge vote, almost 80%, or the one who supports Russia, 21.2%. And so there was this intramural squabbling that should not have happened. That, and now I get it for Zelensky. Like if you're Zelensky, the weight of the world is on your shoulders. You're seeing your people die, get bombed daily, and I mean it's just got to be brutal. But he should have reined himself in. Okay, I'm not going to be hard on Zelensky. He's in a very tough place. Okay, so Musk comes out today and he says it's unreasonable for SpaceX to burn through $20 million a month in order to continue providing crucial satellite service to Ukraine. So his feelings are hurt, and maybe he's also trying to get the U.S. government to foot the bill or something. Maybe. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's not a good look for Musk. And so, and I'm not trying to start a Twitter war with Musk either. Although, actually, now that I think about it, if I did start a Twitter war with Musk, I'd probably have more subscribers than I do. People would be looking me up in droves. So, Elon Musk, you're bad. Okay, hopefully that'll drum up some drama. Okay, so here's another article. This is in The Guardian. Elon Musk SpaceX says it can no longer do that. And they're saying we're not in a position to further donate terminals to Ukraine or fund existing terminals for an indefinite period of time. You're plenty in position to do that, but I think my read is that he has sour grapes, and so that's what's going on. This is a real blow to Zelensky, having to figure out how to replace it, because this guy couldn't contain himself saying to F off, and that's what actually was here. I actually retranslated it back to Ukrainian because this is a family-friendly video, so I'm not going to put that on there. And so, at the same time, Ukrainians need satellites, so they're now saying Ukraine will find a way to keep Starlink running, how to pay for it. So Mikhailo Polodek, an advisor to Zelensky, says, let's be honest, like it or not, Elon Musk helped us survive the most critical moments of the war. Business has its right to its own strategies. Ukraine will find a solution to keep Starlink working. And I think that was a much better tone than bleep off. The only winner from that was this guy. He's winning, Ukrainians are losing, and that's the reality. So let's talk about that guy. This is Putin. Putin saying that Russia's mobilized troops will be ready within 2 weeks, and he's talking about how there's no need for further mass airstrikes on Ukraine. Now, I don't know how many rockets he put down on Ukraine or missiles or whatever else, but he did 84 and 13 drones on Monday alone. And then over the rest of the week, maybe 40, 50, some kind of strike, missile, rocket, artillery, something somewhere along the country. I mean, it was bad. It was bad to the tune that yesterday they put out this map on RT that all the red areas, all the red oblasts have been hit with something. All the blue oblasts, these three, were not hit. And that might have changed today for all I know. So he's been just raining stuff down. Today, the Russian occupation forces launched 3 missiles, 10 airstrikes against Ukraine in the past 24 hours, as well as 10 shelling attacks and multiple rocket launch systems. So we're not exactly sure how many multiple is, but yeah, so believe it or not, that's tapering off. That's less than what it was before. And what I really need to impress on you, this is Interfax Ukraine, is that this is a target. This is a residential complex where they're pulling the bodies of 6 innocent, and I stress, innocent victims. These are not neo-Nazis who are trying to take over Russia. Innocent victims trying to live their life in an apartment complex, and they're killed. That's what's going on. Okay, now it's time for fun with Russian state media. Okay, Russia destroys large arsenal with Western weapons in Ukraine. Okay, so this is Pravda. Of course, they're going to report like all the tremendous victories, the glorious victories of the Russian army. They're not reporting stuff like this. They're going to say that they hit a weapons facilities, and they've been saying they've been hitting critical infrastructure, not a road, not a playground, not residential apartment buildings. They haven't been talking about that kind of thing. So, okay, maybe they have even a blind squirrel can get a nut once in a while, and as many missiles as they've struck into Ukraine, they had to hit something. So, okay, maybe that's true. I don't know. Putin explained the reason for partial mobilization in Russia. He said the line of contact with Ukraine is 1.1 thousand kilometers. It's impossible to protect it only by contract soldiers, so it was necessary to announce partial mobilization. Now let's read between those lines. It's impossible to do it because your numbers have dwindled significantly. And I'm talking to the tune of probably 90, maybe 100,000 casualties at this point. So, um, yeah, so it's impossible with the troops that you had. Second, you didn't have to worry about it before you invaded Ukraine. Ukraine wasn't trying to invade you, were they? So, I mean, there's more to the story than not. Next, Putin says obliterating Ukraine is not our goal. This is also in Pravda. If obliterating Ukraine is not your goal, you are failing miserably. For my money, this is one of the most unforced errors in the entire war on the Ukrainian allied side. Musk explains withdrawal of the free Starlink service. Again, he claimed that he was following the instructions to F off, and just following the recommendation he added with the man shrugging his shoulders emoji, and this did not need to happen. Cooler heads should have prevailed. It's very difficult to blame Ukrainians who were reacting to the way that they were in the middle of a war where people that they know are being killed all around them and struggling through this. But this just didn't need to happen. Okay, now I told you I'd show you one of the coolest things ever, and that is drone dogfight. Honestly, a drone dogfight. So I saw this just today. This was actually an article from yesterday, but nonetheless, it's a drone dogfight. So my kids are in a Civil Air Patrol, and they actually fly drones very similar to this. Now, I've repeatedly told my sons, drone warfare is the way of the future. We've seen this here in Ukraine. It's going to build whatever the next war is. I hope it doesn't come soon, but it's going to be heavily based on drones. Militaries around the world are watching this. See that? Right there. That last little bit. That was it. Little drone dogfight. And I mean, this is the wave of the future. It really is. All right. Thank you for your time. Thank you for spending that with me. I hope that this helps you understand what's going on. Please subscribe if you want to know what's going on in Ukraine tomorrow.